That's so weird. Unbelievably weird. Weird as hell.
There it is.
See, I told you episode 3 would be perfect.
See, I started it on time. We started
Look at
things
that.
out. This is how it's going to be from now on. A polished and perfect show.
Don't set that standard.
What we're in,
just
what we're in for.
Just for today.
Yeah. At least for the first
no
35
guarantees.
seconds.
Yeah.
We don't guarantee much here on the podcast, but what we do guarantee is that we're going to keep it real.
Yes.
We're going to keep it weird. That's about it. That's about the only two things we know for sure are going to happen.
Because that's really all we're good at anyway.
Now, I want to bring you into what happened just before we started this podcast.
I mean, we don't really have to.
Oh,
if
we
you just
have
rather
to.
skip to the tell me something good part.
No, we'll get to tell me something good. We got time for that. She comes into the studio. We're booting everything up. We're getting our lights on.
Our imaginary fake timeline. We've got to keep this moving.
Oh, we can stretch just a little bit for this. And I'm not looking at the camera at all. I'm over here preparing. I got some papers and things because we have a special guest, by the way, joining us on the show.
We do.
Today. And so I'm over there preparing some of that stuff, and I hear, "Oh my holy bleep, 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 bleep." Hold on, wait. It actually sounded like this. Holy, it's happening. John Clonk, and that was it. That's exactly what happened. And I say, "What is going on?" And I hear drip, 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 actually coming from the microphone. Drip, and she had that whole cup of coffee was all over the studio.
Yep.
You could see it everywhere. It was
all
dripping
over.
from, like, you see the stuff behind her, all over it.
I've seen crime scenes more contained than this cup of coffee just made my office. Is ridiculous.
So, cheers to that. I'll raise my cup of coffee to that. Take a quick drink, and let's move on with the show. But I just wanted to share with the class exactly what happened. We don't hide anything.
Thanks for that.
You're on the show. Welcome back. Thank you to everybody that is joining us again. We do have a special guest this morning, and that is an incredibly funny guy that I cannot wait to ask some serious questions to dig into a little bit of his past, because he's got a very interesting
pasts
life.
Are they're something else.
We'll get to that in just a little bit. First, a couple of orders of business. Don't forget, you can stream us. You can follow us. We'd love if you'd subscribe and share with your friends anywhere you listen to your podcast. Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes. Is iTunes now Apple Music? Is that the same thing now?
It's the same thing, yeah.
So iTunes does it even exist?
Now.
Okay, iTunes is now Apple Music. Okay,
yeah,
Amazon Music, YouTube, YouTube Music, and YouTube.
Hey, look.
Hold
on. Can I do this now? Wait a minute. Hold on.
What is this?
Play Flippin' Streeter Make It Weird on YouTube Music.
Oh, see, you're coming prepared now.
Oh. Are you going to do it? No, I didn't say. Okay, that's the Beatles. We're going to get sued for that. No, why is it playing
great.
Love Me Do by the Beatles?
What is...
What the... How is that even...
Gosh. All right. Well,
okay, maybe next week. Week 4 is going to be great.
Thanks so much again.
Yep.
You know what?
No problem.
So great that we come prepared for things. Let's get right, not without anything further. Let's get into our good news. Let's kick off the morning with the good things that are going on, or kick off your show. Flip, what's today's good news? What's going on?
So
today?
there is a prison in Ohio that hosted its first 5-course meal that's served to members of the public. And these inmates, they grew all the vegetables, they prepared all the food, and we're not talking like hot dogs and hamburgers. This is like roasted salmon with a béarnaise sauce. They got braised garden greens, roasted lamb, corn cake dessert with blueberry compote, because that sounds fancy. It's all part of this 6-month program that is meant to prepare inmates to work in fine dining restaurants someday after they're out, after they get
cool.
back into the real world. And it's put on by this nonprofit that offers culinary courses at over 600 prisons and jails around the country.
How cool is that? It really is great. Now, serious question though, would you eat it? Like, would you, if you're a member of the public, would you go? Would you trust what was being fed to you? Because I feel like I've watched a lot of crime shows and things like that, and like there'd be something, like a
shank salmon or something.
Yeah, like a shank salmon. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Something like that. Something being snuck into the food, or you think it's. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from it because I think it's awesome what they're doing.
It is
and I
very
think
cool.
it's so important that that there are people that work with prisoners to make sure their life is better. And
Yes.
when they come out, and to make sure that they have skills that they can use to go and get a job when they get out. And how cool
absolutely.
is that?
Yeah.
At the very least, they can impress people with
They
their
could.
their skills.
Look at
when
my
they get out of prison.
béarnaise sauce over here, Louise. Look at this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just being realistic, I probably would have some reservations.
You'd eat it. You'd eat it. I think you would.
I'd eat the blueberry, whatever that was.
The
That's
compote.
that sounds so good to me. I mean, even if it were tainted with something, I'd just be like, all right, whatever. It's fine. It's probably good. But how cool is that for them to do?
Yeah.
Now, did you have to did the public have to get reservations for this? How much did they charge?
Oh, that's a good question.
How much would you pay to have a meal? And was it mostly prisoners' families and friends that were coming into this? And also, what type of prison is this? This isn't like a murderers and.
So it's Grafton Correctional Institution, and they have this restaurant institute that hosted this event.
So is this like white collar crime? Are these like minor crimes? You don't know? You don't?
I don't know. It doesn't say. It doesn't.
Because I don't know how I'd feel about,
right.
Being in there with.
Yeah. You wouldn't take food from a murderer, but if carjacking, you'd probably make some good béarnaise sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Murderer
kind of.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
I don't know what's in that salmon.
If I were being carjacked and they were like, "Look, listen, here's some." That's actually the great way to carjack somebody is be like, "Hey, stop out of the car real quick. I made you some complimentary blueberry compote and salmon with béarnaise sauce." Like, oh, this is great. And then they run off with the car.
You're not going to get me. Probably. You're not going to get me. I don't like blueberries or salmon. So no,
all right,
not today.
For me, I'm out of the car. And then if they run off with the car, I'd be upset, but I'd be a little less upset than had they not brought me some béarnaise sauce.
At least you got some food out of the deal.
Blueberry compote.
Yeah,
but hey, no, really good for them. Seriously, good for them for doing that. How cool.
It's so important, instead of, because you see so many times I've had people that I know do the same thing, they go to jail, and then it's like, we've talked about my cousin before in That's So Florida. I mean, there's a close relation to crazy people on my side of the world. The 7 degrees of flip over here or whatever it is. But it's so cool to, see these guys and gals break the cycle because, so many times there's just these life criminals that just keep going in and out of the system, in and out of the system. And it's like for these kind of nonprofits to step up and be like, here you go, here's some life skills that can help you avoid this path again. Yeah. So we don't want to see you back here. Here's some life skills. Go use these and actually, contribute to society. Be one of the good things in society. I think it's such a great thing.
It really is. On that note, what better time
hasn't worked for my cousin yet. But
I was gonna say, what better time? Speaking of your cousin in Florida, to transition to That's So Florida. These stories that happen in Florida. I mean, crazy. Now we don't have rules on the radio shows. One of the stories has to be from Florida.
Right
Here, last week I think we had one out of Italy and one out of Iowa. So we didn't really do that. But these are people that have the this is the energy and the vibes of a Floridian.
That's right.
Of a crazy story. Now mine does come out of Florida. It's something that we did talk on the show a little bit on our radio show. Did you see this happened out of Tampa? There were two, I can't imagine this happening. 2 women visiting an animal shelter, both falling in love with this cute little puppy that is up for adoption.
That happens. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that happened when I went to adopt Grayton, who's one of our dogs. There was another person. I actually went to adopt a different dog.
That's
and there was
right.
another guy there that when I walked in, he picked up the dog that I was there to adopt. Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I want this one."
Oh.
Oh my gosh. And my eyes got wide.
And
Anyway,
you sucker got
and I
Grayton.
got Grayton, exactly, which I love him. I'm so happy with it. But this one didn't turn out quite the same. They got into an argument over the dog, and one of the women pulled a gun and said, "My dog. This is the one I'm taking." Of course, the animal shelter is like, I think neither of you. I think, how about option
maybe.
B, which is none of you. In fact, we call the cops and one of you gets adopted by the local police department. Yeah, I think that's kind of the option.
Y'all can find your shelter at
Yeah.
the police department down the street.
Yeah, that's what happened there. But I mean, tell us that you are not ready and mature enough to have an animal without telling us that you're not ready and mature enough to have an animal. That, I mean, doesn't that just immediately they don't have to do any more paperwork or anything like that? The shelter's just like, we know.
We're good. Moving on.
You don't need it.
Yeah,
next.
Next.
I mean, what kind of an idiot do you have to be? Did you bring something to that support today?
Did you see in New Jersey? I mean, they're along the same lines, pretty much anything that comes out of there. There's a DUI simulation that the police had going on at this annual event. You know, it's like they do community events and everything. And
is that where that's like it's supposed to make you aware of what type of delay you have?
What can happen, how you're, everything, you're delayed and you're
you put on these glasses and it messes you up like you can't. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen those before.
This simulation got a little too real the other day, and it sent multiple people to the hospital.
Oh, no.
They were there on the Jersey Shore, and they'd been running this thing for like 20 years. And it's this low-speed golf cart that is rigged up to simulate the experience of a drunk driver.
Oh, my gosh.
You're not in it alone. There's a cop that, rides with you and everything to make sure everything goes okay. But things didn't go okay the other day while the cart was being driven by a minor. It veered off the course, crashed into a crowd of people, hit a few people, and firefighters, obviously, great timing. They're already on the scene for the event. They immediately begin to treat the injured people. 5 of them taken to the hospital. 3 of them have since been released. But the police issued a statement and called the accident disconcerting and said they were sending sincere thoughts and prayers to those injured.
I'm just thinking about people on a low speed. This is the perfect thing to simulate a Floridian. Is drunk on a low-speed vehicle golf cart. That's that's the
in
perfect
turtle
thing.
Mode. Yeah. And you still somehow managed to strike 5 people in it.
Well, I mean, look, it did its job. That's exactly what it did.
It scared, put the fear of Jesus in a lot of people.
Exactly.
So,
but everybody was ultimately kind of, at least mostly okay. Like my injuries.
Yes. There's been a couple more.
Because I can't laugh at this if you.
Well, there's been a couple more still treated. They say they're not really known those conditions. But the other 3 have already been treated and released. There's still a couple that they're taking care of.
Well, that's good. Well, I really hope that everybody's okay with that. Oh, gosh, you can't do anything anymore these days. Do they still do ride-alongs? Because that's something I'm shocked.
I don't know. You told me about that one that you did.
I love ride-alongs. I've done a
St.
couple
Louis,
of them. Yeah,
which has got to be like one of the most.
It's one of the most terrifying things. I can't believe that they allow them. Honestly, I mean, it seems dangerous, but I also am happy that they allow them. They should. Everybody should get to experience that.
I just
meant what?
I just meant driving around St. Louis.
Oh, God.
I wasn't talking about
you cannot talk about St. Louis anymore until you've been to St. Louis. You haven't even been there. You don't even know.
I don't need to.
City.
I see everything I need to know online.
Look, I am,
it's just like New Jersey.
The St. Louis Tourism Department was about to sponsor us, and then you just ruined it again. You ruined it again.
Yeah.
All right.
We got West Virginia still in the pipeline, so
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
work on that.
Can't wait for that one. All right, I think we got to get into our guest, who I'm so pumped about. All right, I don't know what I just did. I messed something up entirely. Oh, we're back. Oh, there we are. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, there.
Did you hit the wrong button again?
I think I did. I hit the wrong button, and now we're back. Something weird happened. I was about to say that we need to get to our guest, which I'm really excited about. Before we get to our guest, one more thing that we need to do every week is crazy shit that our kids did this week. And I just wanted to mention, and this isn't so crazy as it is I just want to highlight this. So our oldest, who is 16, has been applying for jobs a lot recently. He's trying to get some different jobs. And so I guess it was 2 days ago, he comes to me because he has an interview scheduled. And he says, okay, so the person that scheduled the interview said, just show up at X time and with everything that you need.
Yeah.
For your interview or anything that you need for anything, that you want to bring to the interview.
Okay.
And so he's like, well, what do I need to bring? What do you bring to an interview? I said, well, what do you mean? What do you bring to an interview? I said, you bring yourself and a resume.
Yeah.
He's like, do I bring my social security card? I said, not usually. I said, do I bring my birth certificate? I said, not usually.
Do I bring a bottle of wine?
Do I bring my laptop? And he's asking all these questions. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I mean, what do you mean? But now I'm starting to second guess myself. Do you? What do you do in 2024? I haven't had a job interview in a long time.
I have not. I honestly, honest to God, I don't think I have had a job interview I think I've had maybe one my entire life. Yeah. And that was at Margaritaville back in the day. Yeah.
Most jobs just fall
Build-A-Bear
into our laps now.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Hey, come to us.
You don't do job interviews in radio. Yeah. It's just like, this is it.
But that just brought up that question. So I told him, I said, you look, whatever you are comfortable, whatever you think you need to have with you, bring that with you. But I will tell you, when I went on job interviews, all I brought was my resume and a cover letter. Even though I had already sent that to the person, I was always told to bring a hard copy so you can have it there. And then it's sitting on the top of that person's desk when 99% of their resumes and cover letters are digital.
That's true.
They have one that's staring them in their face at their desk.
Top of mind.
And that could be top of mind. Exactly. So that's what I was taught. And so that's what I told him. Yeah. But I didn't know. I mean, he's hey, do I bring this? Do I bring that? I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you do these
Google
days.
it. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what you do.
I hadn't been on one.
Leave us a comment. What do you do in 2024? Is that the right answer? Or did I just completely set up our oldest son up for a complete failure? I don't know. We'll see.
Builds character, if so.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right.
I was going to say the other day at gymnastics, Ava's on the travel gymnastics team. And so they practice twice a week. And it's become nowadays, used to, I could roll Jason in the stroller or carry him in the car seat when he was still in the infant car seat. But nowadays, it's not so much Ava's gymnastics as it is Jace's gymnastics, because he feels like he is a part of the team, to which he just wants to always try to run out there, make a break for it, and, go out there and do the flips and tumbles and things with Ava.
He's ready to do it. He's ready to go.
Whenever I told him no, he responded by going in the hallway, and they have like some picnic tables that are, they do birthday parties and stuff there, and they have the picnic tables lined up, folded up, lined up against the wall. And he goes and tries to scale the dang thing.
Well, I mean, you didn't let him participate in the actual class. I think it would have been easier to just say, go ahead.
Possibly. That could have saved me a whole, because then it was just the screaming, the bloody murderer, the whole 9 yards.
Get him into, if he's scaling picnic tables and stuff like that, what's that thing where people hop between buildings and they, it's like an urban
criminals
hop around. No, that's not
criminals. That's what they're called.
It's not taekwondo. It's
escaping, eluding police is what that's called.
I mean, you can use it for that. You can use all that stuff for it, I guess, if you really want to. That's you're thinking like a true Floridian. This is the inner Floridian that's coming out of you. No, I'm thinking, what is that when what
is it?
I don't know.
Like acrobats?
It's kind of like acrobats, but it's like an urban things where they bounce between walls and climb up things and jump over.
What in the St. Louis are you talking about right now?
No, it has a name, and I can't think of it. It has a name, and I can't think of it. But we're gonna have to wait because we've got to get to our guest. I've accidentally tried to pitch to this like 10 times, and I've hit the wrong buttons, and I've done the wrong things. Yeah. But here we go. Our guest today. Let's get to it. Here we go. Let's see if I can make this happen. All right. I think we got to get into our guest, who I'm so pumped about this guy. The guy is a comedian.
Yes. He's a real comedian, not amateur like us.
Yeah, no, he's the real deal. He's the real deal. This guy has been on Jimmy Fallon. He's been filming a special for Comedy Central. And perhaps most importantly, I think this might be the most important thing that about this guy is that he understands what it means to be a 90s kid.
Yes.
And I'm going to let him explain that.
The true definition.
The true definition of this.
Mhm.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome comedian Derrick Stroup. Derrick, what's happening, man?
What's going on, y'all? Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Man, it's so good to have you here. Okay, so first of all, I'm so happy that you said what you said during, and it was one of your stand-ups that you were doing about this 90s kid
I was
thing.
just like, yes.
That was probably the
Yes,
single
'cause
biggest thing to hit me
all
because
these
I was born in
90s kids think that they are just, born in 1992 or 1994 or something like that.
That's
I'm
right.
a 90s kid. You are not. You are not a 90s kid. You're a 2000s
No, they didn't
kid.
experience the 90s
Yes.
like we did.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
I mean, my thing to them is like, hum me the theme to Doogie Howser, and if you can't do that, then
That's right.
you're out.
Doogie.
You can't.
That's
If you can't
right.
hum the Doogie
Yeah.
Howsers.
There's definitely a couple tests. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Uh-huh.
Did you shoot G.I. Joes with your BB gun?
That's right. Yeah.
There's a few different things, but talking about the 90s stuff, it
Yeah.
is so much fun. It's so nostalgic in so many ways, and I've even added more layers to it, even about riding the bus, even about making those phone calls home where you had to call the house to talk to your crush.
See?
You just wanted to talk to Hannah, but you had Mr. Rick answered the phone, and now you've got a
Right,
bridge troll with a
right.
riddle.
Or you're trying to
you know.
talk to your boyfriend or girlfriend and, somebody else jumps on the internet. You don't know the pain of that.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
know the pain.
That's
For
so
sure.
true.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I mean, we went to sleep in 1997 with the Oregon Trail, and we woke up inside of chat rooms. It happened fast.
It did happen fast.
Yeah.
It really did.
We were all worried about our aim, our away message and
Yeah.
all that stuff, setting everything up. I mean, they just don't know. Our kids today, my oldest is 11, and then I've got a almost 6-year-old and a almost 2-year-old now. And it's like, y'all just don't understand. Like we had, this was our filter. Like,
Yeah.
we had we had to make our own stuff. We didn't have no Snapchat and Instagram, none of this mess. Like,
No.
we did it. We were the pioneers, really.
No, you're right. And I mean,
Mhm.
our games sound ridiculous to them because they're overstimulated,
They
Like
are,
you try to
yeah.
explain to
I
them
agree
how
with
much
that.
fun titty twisters were to us, and they don't
I
don't
love
get that.
that.
You're not
That
going to
is so
enjoy titty
true.
twisters like we did while you're playing Call of Duty. You need to have nothing. You need to just be
Right.
in your yard.
You need to
and
be
you need to be like, I think if I
outside
grab
playing-
my cousin's nipple, it'll make our afternoon.
That's right. And you know what? It damn well did. It did make the
It
afternoon.
very
better.
much did.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
It's
you know what?
like,
No, wait a
just
second. I do have to add a little caveat though. Derrick, you grew up in Harvest, Alabama, which is population 6,000 people or so.
Yeah.
Maybe 5,999 when you were gone. So it's like so what? So you probably even enjoyed it more than the rest of the 90s kids. Like that
Oh,
was
yeah.
probably the most excitement, right?
Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean all those games. I mean ringing doorbells and taking off running.
Yeah. That
all
was
those
thrill.
games. Yeah, you're
Yeah, that
exactly
was-
right. I mean, we had games that weren't even games. We used to just hit each other in the crotch
Just
because there was nothing
because.
else to do. I mean,
Just
our parents
because.
told us to come back when it got dark, and sometimes
Exactly.
in the summer those days were long, y'all.
Mhm. They were long and hot.
And so yeah, it was just such a different time. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for anything. I mean, we were the last ones before the internet really took over. So we had
Yeah.
a pretty pure childhood overall.
That's what's funny is I see all these kids today. It's like, oh, I'm growing up in the greatest generation. I'm like, I highly disagree with that.
Yeah.
I really feel, even with the, internet coming in, even though we didn't have the internet and everything for most of our childhood, I feel like that made us that much, I don't know, not better
Yeah.
than everybody
No,
else, but I feel
agree.
like,
And now, I don't know, when it comes to rating generations, I don't know where we stand, but I know
Right.
that we're one of the funniest generations.
That's for
we had
sure.
some of the best comedy
Yeah.
movies. We had some of the,
That's
I
true.
mean, if you could just sit here and go down the list. I mean, starting off with even Dumb and Dumber. I mean, these
Yeah.
kids, they don't understand. I mean, I saw
Classics.
Dumb and Dumber when I was like 10 years old, 11 years old.
Right.
And it changed the course of my life.
Right.
I'm telling you, it was. And so 90s kids, I feel like that we're a pretty funny group overall, kind of with our mix of how we grew up with a little bit of internet, but still a lot of the old school stuff of playing outside and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's
it
what I
is.
wanted.
It's a good balance.
I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you that too, how you got into comedy, talking about the comedy movies and stuff. Did you like get into it because all the rest, kind of like the rest of us, like you're just using it as a coping mechanism and that just kind of spiraled from there? Or how did that all come about?
There might have been some coping there. I mean, really long story short, I went to Jacksonville State University in Jacksonville, Alabama,
Okay.
and I ran a bar there in my later years of college and after
Enough
college.
said.
And it was just a little college town bar. And I remember thinking one time, if I hear wagon wheel again, I'm gonna walk in front of a vehicle. And that's when I decided that I was gonna do comedy about once every 2 months just to mix it up. And it was just for me and my buddies.
Yeah.
I would make beer $1 and I would just get up there for 45 minutes and talk about a bunch of local stuff. So, I was just doing it for our entertainment and just for fun. And then over a couple years, I realized that there might be something there. And some of my friends were like, "Hey, Derrick, this is funny, man. This is really good stuff." And I got inspired to kind of chase my dreams out west. But the way I started comedy is not the normal way. I mean, there were no open mics. I didn't know another comedian. I watched Bill Burr and Ron White, and I went, you know what? I think I got it. Let me go see what I can do. And I didn't have it. But that was 13.
You found it somewhere.
That was 13
You found
years
it
ago.
somewhere from
that's
Alabama to
that's how I got
Colorado.
into it, really.
Yeah. And now, was the move to Colorado? Let me ask you a little bit about that. Was the move to because that's where you are now, right? That's where you live now,
I'm in Denver right now. Yeah.
Was that? I mean, when you were like, "Hey, let's go west and chase the comedy dream," I've never heard like. Usually, you go to L.A. Could all you?
Or
It was like, did you
Nashville,
run out of gas in Colorado? Like, what the hell happened with that?
Yeah.
How did you end up there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't want to go to a city that was like too big.
Right.
I grew up in Harvest. The
Oversaturated.
first plane I'd ever been on took me to Denver about almost
Wow.
10 years ago. So I was pretty terrified to go somewhere that was going to be, and LA scared the heck out of me.
Mhm.
Growing up in Alabama, they, I didn't know what to think of California. I mean, I knew that there was famous people out there and such, but I didn't know what to think about it. New York City didn't seem like my vibe. So I got really lucky by choosing Denver as somewhere kind of in between, because it's a great comedy city and it's a good city overall. It's a nice place to live.
That's
I've
cool.
heard a lot of good things about it. I want to make it out there one of these days. Go see a concert at Red Rocks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know what's so funny is a lot of people throughout the country, they come to Colorado and Denver for vacation. I'm truly a Southerner. I go down to where y'all are for vacation.
Yeah.
Now I don't go to Panama City anymore. I went there. I'm 40 years old. I went
have
there
a
back
warrant
when that
out
city
here
was different.
Still.
I go down to Pensacola, but the Redneck Riviera holds a special place in my heart. So it's funny. I tell people I leave the Rocky Mountains to go down to the Gulf Coast and put my feet up several times a year.
Yeah.
That's nice. See,
I
that's
like
what we leave the coast and we go to the mountains. We're
Go
like,
to
get
the
us out of the
mountains.
heat.
Yep.
Get us out of the heat. So
All this humidity is
yeah,
not
we're
it.
passing you. on
No,
planes.
I totally get it. We pass like ships in the night.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, I want to ask you about your comedy special. You've got a new your debut album, which is out. It's called Eating Dinner Twice. What does that mean?
Well, it's fourth meal, but Taco Bell got mad at us. They said that was their word. So, and I actually kind of like the literal version of eating dinner twice. And basically, the closer of that album, which is a really special album to me, because it's the first album I've ever released. And it's just like music, your first album's going to have your most years of work on it.
Right.
Like with bands when they first released, because now I've been doing this for 12 years almost, and I'm going to put down my first album. Now, after your first album, they want something from you every 18 months. So there's some really special bits on this first one, and that's one of them. It's a taco truck story, basically about how I came across taco trucks out here in Denver. I'd never heard of them till I came out here, and when I found out that somebody was, going to meet me halfway and bring me some food, it's a real blessing for me. But it's a really fun story, and it's a really fun album that I teamed up with Larry the Cable Guy with.
Oh my gosh, Larry the Cable Guy. That's awesome. I real quick story about Larry the Cable. I imagine you've worked with Larry a little bit.
Yeah, a bunch.
Okay. Yeah. back in, I was working in radio in St. Louis for a while, and Larry and Jeff came to do a show, and they invited us to the show. We went backstage and to, chat with them, visit them for a little bit. And my wife, I swear to God, you can't make this up. No, not planned, completely unknowingly, is wearing the same fucking shirt as Larry the Cable Guy, the exact same shirt. And so as soon as I get back there, the whole thing was a roast of my wife.
Wow.
About if you show up to a Larry and Jeff Foxworthy show and you're in the exact same shirt.
Was she wearing a sleeveless button up? What the hell was she wearing?
So it was the same exact flannel button up, except it had sleeves. His were cut off, or his were gone. The exact same blue and white checkered flannel shirt. I got a picture of it somewhere.
That is hilarious.
But I'm like, what the hell are the odds of that?
What are the odds?
Ended up roasting us on that. But so that's really cool. So you're working. So now you teamed up with Larry the Cable Guy for this album, and you can get it. It's out now, right? You can get
it's out everywhere that you can get albums or any type of your favorite music or comedy. It's out all places.
So
awesome.
Speaking of food and being a Southerner and everything, I know you are a fellow Waffle House aficionado, like I am. What's your order when you go there?
Well, I mean, of course, all-star special. I'm gonna get a pecan waffle.
Yeah.
My eggs. I bounce between my eggs. Just depends on what I'm looking for. I like them over easy. I like them scrambled. I'm gonna get my hash browns smothered, covered, chunked, and capped.
Okay.
I like them. I like them really working for me.
On the
he's got all the terms.
Did Denver do that to you?
I got a picture of Waffle House framed in my dining room.
Do you really?
It is it's a special place to me.
It's so funny because we've been so excited for this interview, and I've been watching all your stuff and everything, and I saw this morning. Have you ever been to the Waffle House Museum in Decatur, Georgia?
No, I've never been to the Waffle House Museum.
There is like a 6-month wait list to get in this place, but you walk in there and it's like all these artifacts and everything from the past 60 years or however long they've been open and everything.
I've heard of it. I love that. And I would like to think that there's like an apron or like some like gloves of like some of the best Waffle House workers to ever live in there. Like, they're like
the employee
on like
of the
September
month.
26, 1999, Alfred in Atlanta made 97 waffles in an hour, and his gloves are like laying there with like the just like how they do like in pro sports all of that.
Exactly.
I would like it to be like that.
It's like the Babe Ruth.
Didn't mess up the order while there were 3 brawls happening across the restaurant at the same time. They still
police arresting 4 different people, and they still got the order out on time.
I love that. Yeah, Marcus cooked for the cycle while he was drunk in 1989. That'd be great. That'd be the type of stats I'd be into.
Hell yeah. Derrick, I know you got to run. You're a busy guy. I want to thank you for swinging by and visiting with us. And you've got so many tour dates. You can check it out on your website. I know you're going to be in my home state of Missouri. You're going to be in Tennessee. You're going to be in Florida. You're going to be hitting every single place.
Yeah, I'm everywhere, man.
Yeah, so opening for John Christ, Nate Bargatze, and you've got your own shows. I mean, it's pretty cool. So, Derrick, good luck out on the road. I'm sure we'll run into you at a Waffle House. Sometime in the near future.
Next time, get down here to PCB instead of Pensacola. We'll take you to the Waffle House.
Yeah, I might make my way over there. I'm an old man now for Panama City, but I might make my way over there.
All right,
but thanks for having me, y'all, and I'll see you next time. Thank y'all.
That sounds great. Man. Thanks, Derrick. Take care, man. There you go. How about that?
There it is.
Oh,
Derrick Stroup, baby. God, he's so funny.
He was so fun to visit with. You've got to go and check out all his material that you can find. You got to watch or listen to that album wherever you want. Like I said, I keep saying iTunes.
Funny.
I don't think it exists anymore.
No,
Apple Music,
Grandpa,
YouTube.
Stop it. There's no iTunes anymore. It's Apple Music. Apple Music.
I'll get it right one time. I'll
get
it right someday. But you've got to go check it out. I'm telling you, you're going to fall in love with this guy and his stories. He can tell stories like anything. And if he's coming to you to anywhere near where you are, go and see him. Go and see him. Mm-hmm. There's if you go to his website, you can find all of the different tour dates, and he has got a ton for for the rest of the rest of
Yes.
the year and into next year already.
Yep, DerrickStroupComedy.com, and he's on all the socials. You can go follow him there, but just look up, on YouTube too. That's where I found a bunch of them. He's got hilarious bits on there with DUIs and the titty twisters and all that stuff. That he's just so fun. It's just so relatable. It's like me growing up in the South too, like in the middle of the country. I relate to that stuff just as much. It is just it's hilarious to have someone put comedy to my childhood too, really.
It really is. If you are a 90s kid too, meaning you were born sometime in the 80s,
that's right.
You'll find yourself just like, oh my gosh, yes, this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, and everything that he does.
Right.
So you gotta go check it out. Look at this. We are already at over our imaginary time limit.
We are.
So
oh my gosh.
it's been a fun show.
How does this keep happening?
Only a few screw ups this time.
Just a few.
It's better than last time, right? I think we did a better job than Derrick brought us from here to
he
about
saved
there.
us. Yeah, he pulled us to the finish line.
Otherwise,
he's
I'm
like,
not
the one.
sure
It's like kind of like the athletes, like the runners that get injured kind of halfway through the run or something. Like they trip and fall and break their leg, and then they have their teammate come and carry them to the finish line. That's what Stroup just did for us.
I would have given us a little more credit than that, but I'm glad to see how you think of the show, the way you're thinking of how things are going here this morning. All right. Well, hey, thank you again for watching, listening, wherever you are tuning in to our podcast. We appreciate it. Please give us a follow, share with your friends, subscribe wherever you find your podcasts, because we've got some great surprises in addition to some great guests like this. We've got some other surprises that we're going to be bringing to you, but you got to be subscribed and following so that way you don't miss out on those.
Yes.
As we go along.
And pretty soon we're going to be like the Kelsey brothers, baby. $100 million deal with Amazon.
That's right.
Let's go.
I don't know. I think we'll turn it down, wait for the 110 offer.
We could. Yeah.
They'll come to us with 100 million.
Yeah.
We're like, nah.
Yeah, they'll be begging. They'll be begging.
And they'll say, no, absolutely.
They've only been doing it. What did they start? Like 2 years ago or something?
Kelsey's,
like 2022?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
It's not been
See,
long.
we could have, if we would have started
this. I know. Don't get into it. Oh my God. I know you tell me this every time. We're like, I'm telling you, the name of our podcast could have been what?
It's fine. They just took our 100 mil,
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. I didn't need it anyway. We're real friends. This is our real life, and I think we did a pretty good job this week of keeping it weird.
Always do.
Have a great time doing whatever you do after this. Bye.